at Mount Panorama. They've had 2 races in the books so far. Taunton has been the man. But keep an eye on the young teenager, left-hand side. As the safety car pulls in, they wait for the green flag, and we get underway in the final race. With the Duggan Family Hotels Bathurst combined sedans here today. It's going to be peak hour, Bathurst style, into turn 1.
Peak hour at turn 1. The Skyline does get up the inside of Mason Kelly in the number 7 Mark car. And look at that horsepower. What did you say, 1,150 horsepower? Matt Nolte, there it is. It goes. I mean, those Mark Mustangs have got probably 600. Look at the gap at turn 2 from that Nissan Skyline of Sheriff. Probably needs to roll out of it. I mean, he can go hard on the first lap because he won't do a 209, but that breakout rule just limiting so people don't go too far out of their comfort zone for this category.
It was a bit of cat and mouse out there this morning because Taunton was teasing him, trying to get the lap time up while he set the chase, and in the end he just went a little bit quicker on the final lap. He got dropped a position in the process, but it was fascinating to watch from 38. They continue on, they'll still do that. In fact, there's a shot I saw years ago, we're watching the cars come through the dipper, and the rest of the field was still coming over Solomon Park in the background of the shop. We'll see that here today.
Yeah, massive field, 50 cars. Whenever state-based competitors get the opportunity to race at Bathurst, they grab it with both hands. Very rare the opportunity to get laps at Mount Panorama. There's one wide. Just gets away with it before the drop down into Reed Park.
And that stacks the field up for a moment. We had a spin up there. One of the BMWs lost it up there yesterday, managed to keep it off the wall, which is something, you know, you can't do too often. This is what happened during the first 2 races of the weekend. Taunton was great, but you watch the Skyline just stretch these legs and disappear down Conrod Straight.
Yeah, the Skyline's good in the straight bits, but the Mark Mustang's got it covered across the top of the mountain. Look at this car go. It's got some serious straight line handling. Let's throw the radar gun on that one and see what it's capable of.
Into the chase he comes. But Taunton will reel him back in. It was like this through the first 2 races. Of course, Sheriff's been racing for over 20 years now, and 10 of that's been in this car alone. And shock horror, he holds some lap records at a lot of tracks around the country.
Oh, well, if he's from Tasmania, did you say? Yeah, well, it's a Simmons Plains car for sure. Definitely, they build them for straight line performance at Simmons Plains.
So Taunton back to 2nd, Robinson 3rd, Lacey, who's had dramas this weekend in the number 1 car, 4-time state champion. One of the cars slowing, that could be George Meadowkey.
Yeah.
We've got a few of the production cars in the field here this weekend that are using this as a live test session for the 6 hour coming up. As he can get back to the pits there, we'll have to find out. It's a long way up that hill.
It is, and that car was scheduled to race in the Bathurst 6 hour last Easter and didn't make it. They had some teething issues with a brand new car, so trying to work those bugs out prior to coming back Easter time for the 6 hour event for the production cars.
We're watching the field climb through Griffins, and they're still coming past.
Still coming through the last corner.
It's straight. Mason Kelly in the background of that shot. We saw him last year race in the Sports Sedan series as he works his way up through the ranks and drove really, really well in the first 2 races of the weekend. It's like Lacey's starting to give Robinson the big hurry up here across the shelf.
A couple of national sports sedan competitors getting the opportunity to run their cars across the top of the mountain. Oh, around the outside for the drop down to Reed Park, if you don't mind. Don't see that too often. Robinson's got a bit of an issue with that Monaro body sports sedan. Mason Kelly sneaks up the inside in the McPhillamy Park. So just sorting themselves out as the run from Skyline through the S's down to the Dipper. There's one parked, it looks like the run up Mountain Straight to driver's left. Just managed to get it just out of the way into one of the breaks in the concrete barrier there. Just trying to figure out who that is. Looks like just stopped. Mechanical issue potentially. Back to our leaders, playing their game of cat and mouse, snakes and ladders, if you don't mind.
I think that last sector, it was only a 1/10 of a second. By the time it gets to the finish line, it'll be another 2 seconds. We go back to Lacey and Kelly. Robinson has dropped back to 5th position now with Newman. Cameron up to 7th with Groves. Vanderkamp is in 9th, and Wilson completes your top 10 as we work lap 2 of the final race of the weekend. We've got some Formula Ford action still as well here today. I know a category close to Garth Tander's heart as well. They've been turned on some great racing. It was historic class, which we'll talk about when they follow this race later today at the Liquimoli Bathurst 12 hour.
That's our leaders there. They crossed the line. Sheriff managed that lap nicely at 2:10.3 versus Taunton's 2:09.7. So they're continuing their game of poker at the front. Just sit here and watch the field make their way down pit straight, just to give you an idea of the field spread after 3 laps.
11 seconds further back to Shields now as we stay with him. Shields has been in the wars. He didn't start earlier today, but came through from the rear of the field for this one. So that's not a bad start considering.
So made it to 9th. He's up 41 spots.
Handy.
That's not bad.
Where's the passing points rule?
Yeah, that's right. You should get double points for passing 41 cars in 3 laps, if you don't mind. So Brad Shields done a nice job. Races in a lot of national-based categories, Carrera Cup, TCR and the like. So some of the sports sedans and faster cars making their way through some of the production-based cars.
And what we'll see very soon, there will be some lap cars that start playing a big part in this. We had a safety car earlier today which changed all of that. But so far so good here. Sheriff's lead is 0.8 of a second back to Taunton and nearly 10 seconds back to Lacey.
So they continue to make their way through turn 1. Our leaders currently between the 1st and 2nd sectors. Let's check out some replays from the start. Rolling start for the combined sedans. It was Taunton that got the good launch down into turn 1. Sheriff a little bit squirrely on the brakes into 1 and then just opened the taps on the skyline, and thanks for coming. Just unleashed this thing.
Just disappeared, didn't he? This was happening down at the Chase while... And not the first car to go off down there this weekend. We had some lucky escapes, particularly in this category. And this is that move. I saw this in qualifying yesterday around the outside, but it looked like Robinson just let him go. Then he would lose 2 positions by the time they got to McPhillamy Park there. And this is the Camaro, the replica Camaro out there on the track, which has been wowing fans. Peter Dane behind the wheel this weekend. We know Pete's been around for a long time in the sport, but taking to the grass on the outside there through the Chase. It's got a notable pop and bang, hasn't it, when Sheriff goes past our commentary position here. This was one of many times we'll see this battle coming out of the elbow.
So you see Taunton there trying to get on the gas really early. Looks like something out of the field. Maybe actually made contact with the rear of the Skyline, trying to get as close as he could before the Skyline put the spinnaker up and set sail for the chase. Yeah, it's just the little grille that goes around the headlights there, or the spotlights in the centre part of the front bumper there. Has come out of the front of that Mark Mustang, Generation 2 Mark Mustang.
So Sheriff out to nearly 2 seconds as he continues to lead this one. Lap 4 of 10. The Skyline showing the way with Taunton, Lacey, Kelly and Robertson, your top 5.
Our leaders make their way towards Skyline. This Sheriff comes in dancing that Skyline beautifully, but we've seen this every lap so far. Jeff Taunton closing the gap over the top of the mountain. Skyline certainly set up for the straight line, whereas Taunton's Mustang more of a handler across the top of the mountain. Some lap traffic there. And we saw this the previous lap. Taunton right on the rear of the Skyline. But look at that Skyline as he plucks gears, shooting flames out the exhaust. It literally is fire breathing, this thing. And look at that gap open. How demoralising if you're Jeff Taunton. You've just driven the best middle sector of the race, and that thing just takes off.
Taunton needs to find a virtual lasso to get onto the back coming out of the elbow. Look, you're talking 300 or 400 horsepower difference between the two of them.
It doesn't matter how hard you stomp your foot on the throttle, you're not going to make up 300, 400 horsepower difference.
It'd be a fun car to drive, but you'd be nervous.
Look
like
at
that.
Skyline just dancing the rear. And I heard just when he got on the gas at Reed Park, it stepped sideways in 4th gear, lit it up onto boost. So certainly you wouldn't be bored driving that race car around Mount Panorama. Oh, there's a moment for one of the Evos, one of the production-based cars.
And a really tricky spot, in fact, slowing down now.
Yep.
As you know better than me, climbing across the top, you're almost blinded when you get up to the top. There's not much room either side.
100% blind, and when the tyres at the full load point, it's not like you can change direction in a hurry. So everyone making their way through there. Look up to speed now is the 92.
So you've got races within a race here as well, with production touring cars in there as well. A couple of old supercars that have made their way into the category. And great to see it nice and healthy here. The combination of New South Wales cars and of course that amazing Skyline from Tasmania. The bad news for the rest of the field is that Brad Sheriff's bringing that car to the mainland to run this year in the Sports Sedan series. So they better bring their A game, is all I can say.
Yeah.
Oh,
no,
that's too soon.
That's just talking about bring your A game. Sheriff
The curse.
had a drama, and that's at the exit of the tree before the drop down to Reed Park, and it's heavy contact with the wall. We've gone safety car because that car's in a very dangerous position. It is blind on the approach to there, and the cars are limited for grip right at the exit. So you can see in the background the marshals motioning to the drivers stay to drivers right so that they don't get caught up. So let's see if we can catch it on the replay. What happens here? He's just very wide. Yeah, he's turned in very wide, got into the grey, and yeah, comes into screen at all the wrong angles and big contact with the concrete wall. So some significant damage to the 66 Nissan Skyline.
One in, one out. That's big damage. Front on, we thought maybe minor, but that's gone in fairly hard. And maybe the plans for Mainland might be put on ice for a bit here. That is a big shunt, and you know you need to be a foot off the line up there. And there's concrete left and right, which will catch you. They've been teasing cars all weekend, and ultimately the race leader has found the wall here as the safety car waits to leave pit lane. So Brad Sheriff, our race leader, climbing out after finding the wall here on lap number 5 of the Duggan Family Hotels combined sedan. Scarf Tander, a big incident as he's climbing out right now. This is how it looked like. So we're watching Taunton climbing the shelf here. Watch the car further ahead.
Yeah, it just turns in and it's just a little bit wide, and you are literally threading the needle at that part of the racetrack. You need to be so accurate and put the car in the right spot. If you turn in, you're too wide, the track falls away a little bit, and then as you turn, you lose the rear of the car. And we saw from that camera angle the car go in backwards, and when you lose the rear and it goes in backwards, it smacks the front end. So big damage to Brad Shields' car. And when you start talking Brad Shields, he's up 44 spots prior to that safety car, and that safety car nicely closed all the gaps up. So that's brought him right into the game. So keep an eye on the number 2 red Fiat, just behind the black and yellow Ford Falcon, about 8 or 9 cars deep in this restart bunch. So Taunton comes to the line and takes off. The lap cars do the right thing and they pull out of the way. Nice job. Lacey moves his way through. Here comes Mason Kelly, sends it deep, really deep into the first corner.
Does he get out? Oh. Yes, he does, just.
But he was seriously committed, probably focused on the lap traffic and just lost his braking reference, so that's going to cost him a lot as far as track position goes at this safety car restart.
Back down to 6th position, just like that. So he'll have to regain his composure. Maybe 2 laps left in this one as we head towards a time certain point. Mediki's back on the track. Remember, that car made it through the pits just before. We said it was peak hour. Well, it's living up to that reputation as we work our way up to the Audi cutting here. Mediki just moving across the track to let the faster cars through. Let's go back to Robinson and Shields looking to make the move. Can't do it there. The door's left open, though.
No, you go. No, you go. Both were a bit too polite there. Someone needed to commit for the entry to the tree. Brad Shields comes out, so he now moves himself to 3rd. I thought he'd be a bit of a smoky at this restart with all that chaos going on at turn 1 with Mason Kelly running wide. Brad Shields makes his way up to 3rd. Up just a lazy 47 positions from the start of this one.
He likes that. Tony Groves just in there behind in the 2015 model mark. With Valvoline number 80 coming down the hill here. With Newman just ahead, he's leading the V8 touring car class, which has got 3 or 4 cars in it this weekend and doing a handy job right now. But Groves, he qualified well at the start of it. And then from Victoria, heading down Comrade Straight once again. Yeah, how's the plus 47 for Shields? You don't see that too often on the leaderboard.
It looks like it's a typo. So here we go, that restart. Mason Kelly, he's deep on the brakes, potentially just focusing on those lap cars, those pair of BMWs that were just on the inside and overcommitted. Oh, even our leader, Jeff Taunton. What's all happening at turn 1 on that safety car restart? Mason does a nice job to keep the momentum up, get himself out of the gravel trap, but costs himself a lot of track position there. Oh, there's some wide and very lines. Not often that you see him go 3 wide through the S's between Skyline and the Dipper. It is peak hour at Mount Panorama in the combined sedans restart.
Not one damaged panel either, I might point. Wow, Taunton, we were watching Kelly. He had his own little moment, didn't he, on the exit. He's on the 9th lap here making their way up to Griffins, and he's going to shut this race down now, isn't he? Out to 5 seconds, but sitting over for the minor positions.
Brad Shields now on the back of Stephen Lacey. So Shields not happy with a plus 47. Oh no! Oh no! The fire's gone out on the number 2 and pulls up to the inside of the circuit. Brad Shields, after that mega recovery drive, was looking to elevate himself to second place. Oh no! Now he's done the full reset and it's gone again. What has happened to the number 2 Fiat?
So he's trying to work out what the issue is. At the same time, look up in the mirror to see where the faster cars are. So we're 1-1 now when it comes to cursing, are we?
That's right. Jeez. Just to go from lining up a chance to turn third into second, finds himself now dropping down the order.
It was 47, then it was 42, now it's 41.
It's going to wear out our timing screen to Brad Shields.
Taunton on his way down into the elbow here and just continues to branch out. He's got the fastest lap of the race. And out to 6.7 seconds. It looks like it's time to park up under the shade there for Brad Shields. So whoever that gremlin is has decided it's had enough. And that 47 position change now puts him back to where he was.
Yeah, that charge over and out. It was good while it lasted for Brad Shields. But Jeff Taunton has done a nice job. Was battling early with our leader, Brad Sheriff, in the 1150 horsepower fire-breathing Nissan Skyline. But ultimately, Taunton has not put a foot wrong. Other than that safety car restart, got a little bit taily as he left turn 1, but is showing the field now a clean pair of heels. 7.5 seconds back to Stephen Lacey, second place, and a further 4.5 seconds back to Robinson in third.
That makes Liam Hooper the big mover and shaker. He had an alternator belt fail earlier today. He's up 36 positions.
Look at our guys in 8th, 9th and 10th. They're up 36, 38 and 35 spots respectively.
Now, what we laugh about how many positions that is really stressful stuff to pick your way through that amount of cars with the speed disparity.
Yeah, and that's right. And don't forget, this is not professional racing. This is not professional race cars and with professional race car drivers. It's very much hobbyist motorsport with hobbyist budgets. So you need to be smart how you make your way through the field. You don't want to damage your car or your fellow competitors. So to come up that far in what will ultimately be 6 racing laps with those safety car laps we had in the mid part of this race, they'll love that. They'll really enjoy it. It's a nice way to finish out their time on the mountain here this weekend.
You see Taunton's just backing right off now. An early lift there before the S's. Let's get nervous when there's a replay in the chase. Oh, in the background.
Oh!
In the background, and the rear's gone in on the Commodore. Oh, does he just backs out in time? That was so close for the 125, and I think he just let that car freestyle its back. Had he not, he would have got hit by that other car.
Would have got T-boned for sure, and then gets himself out of harm's way. Definitely not want to be parallel parked at the apex of the chase, so exit stage left very, very quickly. He's our race leader, though. He's on his last lap, and as you said, Matt Nolte, just rolling this car home. Gap, even though with it rolled out of it, the gap's out to 10.5 seconds. So just bring it home, and put it back in the truck. Nice, safe and sound after a nice weekend of racing at the mountain.
10 seconds is going to be the victory here as he comes down to Murray's for the final time. And Taunton, who had Sheriff with him for the majority of the race until he hit the wall, picks up the win in the final race of the combined sedans here today, the Liquid Motley Bathurst 12-hour. Lacey will get home for second in a battle slot for the minors. Mason Kelly's going to make the move as Lacey does get second by just a car length at the end. Back to Robinson, Newman, and should be Kelly ahead of Groves, and it is. So he got him at the final turn.
Mason Kelly, that recovery drive after the moment at the safety car restart went all the way to the final corner. So nice job for him. Finds himself back inside the top 5.
And that's how it looked after the safety car polluted race, giving the win to Jeff Taunton in the Mark Cars Australia entry. 11 seconds clear of Steve Lacey, Michael Robinson, Rick Newman, Mason Kelly inside the top 5. Frank Mamarella down there in 16th spot. Matty Logan home for 20th here today. And some hard luck stories that dropped down after making well into the 40s when it came to passing cars. Brad Shields was up as high as third there until the car came to a stop there at the top of Salmon Park. Congratulations to Jeff Taunton, the winner of the combined sedans here this weekend. Well, we know Chad Naylon loves adventure and apparently he has a few surprises in store. Let's take a look at what he got up to earlier this week at Mount Panorama.